Now, I have actually some topics to discuss this video. Hopefully it'll be a little bit better than videos in the past. I tell you what, before I get into this, those of you who are watching this later down the road, let me chat just a little bit, about YouTube in general and why I've moved to the kind of content that I'm moving towards and how it sort of freaks me out a little bit doing this kind of content. So, this channel, Suburban Pilgrim, started out a long time ago, probably 2014-15, when my family and I, wife, kids, left San Diego, hit the road full-time in a travel trailer. Hello, Once Blind. And we were just traveling around and I wanted to document it, so I started Suburban Pilgrims because we lived in suburbia at the time and we left on this pilgrimage, hence the channel name. So I did that for the first year or so, and then I did a cigar video. And the cigar video did pretty well on YouTube, and so I thought, well, dang, I'm gonna do more of that because I love cigars and tobacco pipes, so I started pushing that content. And it did pretty well. I was like, I can build a YouTube channel out of this, I think. But along the way, pretty early on, I started learning that YouTube hates tobacco videos. So they started giving me strikes and started saying you can't monetize any of these videos. And I was like, well, that's fine. I'm just trying to build the channel right now. And it started getting worse and worse, and I learned that there were some other YouTubers that had channels similar to mine, much larger, that's focused on cigar or tobacco pipe videos type content, and YouTube has literally shut down a lot of those channels, shut them down, they're gone. So I knew for a while I needed to change the types of videos I was putting out there. And this all was around the same time that I had decided enough was enough for me. I wasn't really happy with the kind of person I was in a lot of ways. I wasn't a terrible person, but there were just a lot of things that I wanted to change in my life. Long story short, I decided to implement those changes around the time that YouTube started really getting strict with the kind of content, with basically hating and striking you for any kind of tobacco related content. And so I decided, I also, through this transition of trying to make myself better, I was reading a ton of books. And a lot of the books just said, on social media and in everything, you should just be honest. If you're passionate about something, if there's something you really, really care about, don't worry about what people will think. Just go for it. Put that content out there. You'll find your audience. So I decided to move forward with the kind of content I'm putting out there now, which is really kind of documenting my transition from kind of the weak, soft, timid guy I was before. I haven't changed that much. I'm still me, but I'm trying to implement a lot of things in my life that I hadn't before. Discipline being kind of the main one. Getting up early, working out, just making myself better for my family, for my wife and kids in every way that I can. And so that's the reason. And I thought that was important for you to know. Don't you think it was important? I think it really was. So today, the real meat of this is that I'm going to be going into stuff that I've learned. I'm going through, actually, I'll grab the book because I had notes on my phone. I had some issues again trying to get this live feed going. I wanted to use my laptop, this laptop, and it was my fault. I ran out of time. So I'm doing it from my phone, which means I can't go into my notes. So I'm going to grab my book, which is right there, and chat about some of the things in that book. I've highlighted the heck out of that book with different things that stood out to me, tips, tricks, ideas that I think would be beneficial if you're in a similar boat where you're looking to better yourself in every way. I would recommend this book. Let me grab it. It's a good one. This was one that I read early on. It's called Man Up, and it's by Bedros Keuilian. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. By the way, if you have anything you'd like to say, chime in. I will attempt to read all of these dandy comments. Once Blind said, bro, continue what you do here, which I honestly enjoy more, but take your pipe and cigar to the Rumble platform. That's what actually, that is a good point. Because I am beginning to, I think I'm going to use Instagram and TikTok primarily. I don't know if you guys are on any of those channels, but if you are, I'm planning to continue, or at least do a lot more smoking tobacco cigar stuff on those platforms, because at least right now I haven't had any issue with them. So that's the plan. Hello, Dirk just said hello. So this book, I'm just gonna literally go through it and find the first thing that I marked and just read it to you. It's not like long sections, they're just little brief snippets of information that I pulled out of this book that I've implemented. Some of these maybe I'll skip if they were just very like helpful to me, but probably not helpful to anybody else. But who knows, I'll read them to you anyways. I know that I didn't start marking this up till here. All right, this is the first one. Oh, this one's pretty good. This is all it says, and I'll explain it. It says you can get into a state in which your mind and body are in unison. Okay, this one is this. I didn't realize that this was a real thing until I read this book. I don't know if this is true for you. I do a lot of computer work, sit behind a computer doing stuff. This can be true for any kind of work, though. Have you ever been in a state of work, whether behind the computer or physical labor or whatever, where the time flies by, you legitimately forget to eat? You just kind of are in this trance. You're so focused on the work and you're working. It's like it feels like your brain and your body are in unison and you're accomplishing this task or this goal and nothing else matters. Flow state. Walt gets it. I didn't know about flow state prior to reading this book, but it's a thing. It's a real thing you can get into. And it basically, hello, Davids. For me, it takes, what is the word? It takes me being, there's a word, not disciplined. It's like a focused attention on this. Anyways, there's a word for it. Intentionality. It's being intentional about understanding what kind of work I tend to get into that flow state. For me, it's video editing or it's working on things that I really, really care about. It's things that are important. This idea is connected, is best connected to a new book that I'm reading right now that I'll talk about later. But anyways, if you get kind of what that flow state is, it's amazing how much work you can get accomplished in that time. So I think for me, anyways, in a kind of a practical sense, it has taken me being intentional. And more importantly, shutting off everything else that could be a distraction during that time. Knowing what important task I need to get done that day, like what is the most important thing that I need to get done today, and making that the priority and being able to shut off everything else around me, from the phone yelling at me, calls, meetings, people just walking in, like letting my family know, like this is dedicated time. However long I want that to be, like 2-3 hours, where I try to get in that flow state. Generally I can do it, especially if it's a project where I'm utilizing my skills, the things I'm generally good at and am passionate about. If I can combine those things and avoid distractions during that time, I can get into that. And in 2 hours, I can get so much more done than probably the rest of the day combined when I'm sort of distracted and stuff. Anyways, that's the first one. Let me read through your comments. Did anybody say anything good? You guys have anything good to say? David said, hey. Walt said, flow state. Once Blind said, yep, and follow you there as well, you sweetheart. Well, nothing great. Somebody say something revolutionary and I will be blown away. Mason said, hey, I'm Mason. I've been watching for a while. I live in Nashville. What's up, Nathan? Boy, I can't speak, Mason. We're not too far from Nashville. About an hour and a half-ish. We go there quite a bit. We were just there this last weekend. Who cares? Big fan of Mihaly. I have no idea what that is. Worth some research. Credited with first work with flow state. Oh, no kidding. I'll check him out for sure. I've never heard of that. All right. Let's keep reading. Let's keep going through this. I'll let you. So if you're just joining this live chat, I'm going through this book that I read early on called Man Up, and I'm just reading through my highlighted sections that have made the biggest impact in my life. Let me see here, though. Mason Reeves just said, have you read the book Manly Men? I have not. Should I? Tell me more. Mama Panda, good name, I like that, said, my husband has been watching you and has been so encouraged by your videos. Dang, I love hearing that. Thanks for telling me. That means a lot. They are speaking what he has been journaling through and learning. That's super cool. Thanks for telling me that. I can see the influence this book in your lady video on manhood dying in America. Yeah. Can you tag that book? Can I tag it? Tell me more about tagging. Is that something I can do in here? I don't know anything. Maybe I'll leave the book up like this so you can see it. Okay, next thing that I highlighted here It just said, and I literally don't, I mean, I'm reading this I didn't like plan this before the video. I'm literally going through the book, reading the highlighted sections. He had enormous personal discipline. Oh yeah, that one I'm going to skip because that was attached to a whole story and a whole thing. So not really applicable here. Let's go to the next one. Okay, next one is, oh, dang, I just recorded. Okay. Oh yeah, in the description box. Can somebody do that? I'm on my phone and I think it's more limited on what I can do here. I don't know. If you guys can do that, then awesome. So I'm starting to record content that is specific for the members only side of the YouTube page. So you can sign up to be a member. You can give me your money. And then I'm uploading videos that only members can see. And the first video I just recorded before this one was on this particular part of this book. And it says, one sentence, I told myself a few stories that quickly became the narrative of my life. So I did a whole video on this, but I'll give you the synopsis of how this has impacted my life. I think everybody has an inner voice. You probably heard this. If you've ever read the 4 Agreements, it summarizes this perfectly. Oh, 4 Agreements. That's another book I need to go through again. But anyways, it's just basically the idea that you have an idea of who you are. You believe certain things about yourself, truly believe these things about yourself. And either subconsciously or consciously, you're telling yourself why you can't do certain things. And it's based upon this belief that you have of yourself. So if you're going to try to start something new, like for me getting up at 5 a.m., I immediately started telling myself these specific things. I told myself, I'm not a morning person. I am a night owl. I'm just born that way. I work better at night. I can work longer. Anytime I got up at night or I've gotten up and early in the morning, my brain just takes forever to get going. So I'm not as productive in the morning. It's just not who I am. It's better to work at night. All of these things that I believed about myself, truly did, I would tell myself. And that would stop me from trying something new, like getting up early. Or discipline was a big one for me. Implementing discipline was something that I fought for a long, long time. And I would tell myself stories about myself. I'd tell myself beliefs about myself that were put there years ago. And basically, all of this internal dialogue that we have, again, subconsciously or consciously, generally is just it's us talking ourselves out of doing something. It's excuses is really what it comes down to. Excuses why we can't do things. I'm too busy. I'm not that kind of person. I don't know anybody like that. I don't have the same resources. This and that. I'm too lazy. I'm just not. There's a million excuses that we tell ourselves, and they generally keep us from doing the things that we want to do, keep us from becoming the people that we want to become. I could talk about this all day. The video is fairly long that I put out there. So if you want to watch that video, I'll probably be posting in the next couple of days, but you got to be a member. So I just want your money. It's all you're here for. That's just it. That's terrible. It's not true. But is it? A little bit. All right, next one is, this is a big part of manning up, getting rid of self-limiting beliefs. Okay, same thing that I was just talking about. Let me read through some of these comments now before I move on. Let's see. I've been Iron Lord. Dang, that's a solid name. Iron Lord said, I've been reading lots of military books about being in a situation that has gone totally wrong and how to handle the situation. Ooh, what are the books? You should send them over. You put them in the comments. Walt said, Iron Lord 79, what's a book you recommend? Yeah, that's what I want to know. Mason said, have to go check out the book. I'll catch up later. See ya. Goodbye, Mason. All right. Look at the next one here. Let's see here. I think I did that one. Yeah. Okay, next one. I think this one might be attached to the same idea. That negative belief system is crippling. After all, your beliefs dictate your habits dictate your actions, and your actions dictate your outcomes. Yeah, I already read. That was basically the same gist of it. Let me know. Also, is this helpful? Because I'm trying to figure out something more consistent to do with the live videos when I do these. Because I'm doing these consistently now, every Tuesday, 1 o'clock-ish. And I wanted to have like something, like, what do you guys prefer? You prefer when I just like read your comments and that's it? Or do you like kind of having like a core, a foundation, something you know you can hear about when you listen to these? Let me know, won't you? Dan Allen said, how do you know when self-limiting beliefs are realistic? How do you know your limits realistically? Oh, that's a good question. Dang, that's beyond anything that I know. I can only speak for myself. So for myself, um, it's pretty obvious when it's a lie. Like most of the things in this book, anybody can do. You can apply discipline to your life. You can get up early. Like these are all things you can probably physically do. So you can tell it's a self-limiting voice when it's just talking you out of something that you could do. It's just difficult. That's usually what it is. It's usually trying to change something that you don't really want to change because it's tough, because it's difficult. That's when I hear that voice more than ever. Like I've been doing 75 hard now. I'm almost to the end. I have like 3 weeks, 4 weeks left. And it's still, I thought it was going to get easier as it went on, but it doesn't get easier. In some ways, it gets more difficult because you're less focused on it. But so I still hear this voice all the time. I'll try to talk myself out of doing the second workout, or I'll try to weaken it. I'll try to find like what's that gray area in between that still technically counts, but kind of is the weakest way to do it. That's always my weak old self talking to myself, trying to talk me out of doing the difficult thing that I know I should do. I think it's probably more of a feeling versus knowing. You know the right thing that you should do. You know you shouldn't eat that. You know you should work out. You know you should be disciplined. Like those are things you just know. But your weak voice is the one that's telling you why you shouldn't. Why it's maybe better that you don't. Like it's pretty obvious when you. So I think you know what your limits are. I mean, I guess you would know your limits if you actually tried the thing. Legitimately tried it. Try it for a month. Try getting up at 5 a.m. for a month before you decide whether you can or not. You know what I mean? So that's how it's been for me. It's pretty obvious now when it's my weak old self versus the new self that is deciding what I should do or what I can and cannot do. What else? I like what you're doing. Thanks, Moose Run Coffee. Boy, I love that. Where are you at, by the way, Moose Run Coffee? That's in Oregon? No, it's not. It's somewhere else. Let's see. Keep doing this. Thanks. Hi from Greece. Wow. Keep going. You said something Thessalon. I don't know how to pronounce anything. I can't read any words unless they are, the kind of words that you're taught in second grade. Like mainly 3-letter words. I know most of those and can read most of those, but once they get to like 4 letters or more, it's all gone. All right. Let's see. In Missouri. Oh, Missouri. I like Missouri. I just wanted you to know that. Okay, let's move on. What's another one here? Oh, this is just a couple of words. Fear and insecurity guarantee failure. Boy, okay, this one, because this one at first was easy for me to pass up, like fear. I don't have any fear. I don't have any insecurities. I really didn't have many. I didn't think. It's so weird. As you really get honest with yourself and really dive in, like a lot of this process that I've been going through just takes a lot of personal thought and work to think about things. Which working out tends to help. You go on a run or something, like you have a lot of alone time. Most people I've noticed, myself included, I'm using myself as an example. Before we hit the road in like 2015, when we were living in normal life, like suburbia, I noticed that life was so busy, so hectic all the time. Social obligations, work commitments, chores around the house, stuff the kids were involved in, games, practices, whatever. All the stuff that fills up a day leaves very little time for self-thought, inflection, like really wrestling with some of our core issues that we don't even know we have. Which is why the RV life that we lived for a while was so helpful for me and really starting all of this. But the fear and insecurity part, it sounds lame to me at first. It sounds a little psychological. It sounds a little like, okay, whatever. This is a little too heady. When I thought about it though, there were such big limiting fears in my life. The biggest one for me was failure. Because I had failed at so many things in the past, I didn't want this whole attempt at making myself better. To me, if that failed, then I was a failure. Like, that was a big thing that held me back from all of this. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want people to look at me like, yeah, I know you did this whole thing, but you're the same old person. Or you learned all this stuff, you read all these books, and then like I'm starting a couple of businesses, and I'm afraid, like, what if those failed? And it's like all of this was for nothing. Fears limit us so much, and they're ingrained in us. Sometimes we don't, like for myself, I didn't even know that they were there. So that one meant a lot to me. Let me read through. People have said some things. Someone's in Poland. Greetings from Poland, so that's crazy. Walt said, what was the main reason you left the RV life? Oh, that's a great question. Was it family related? It was sort of family related. If it was up to me, we never would have stopped the RV life. It, in my opinion, for me, my personality type, it is the ultimate way to live. I loved it. I loved everything about it. When we left, though, my oldest daughter was maybe 11. And so that means my two younger boys, I mean, they were like 8, 7, 8-ish, 9-ish, somewhere in there. So they were young. And when kids are young, you can pretty much do anything, go anywhere. Show them any kind of world, and they're just like, okay, I guess this is the world. So RV life was very easy. But then, like, my daughter's 18 now. After about 3-ish years on the road, our kids started getting older and wanted a more normal life. They wanted to be connected to friends they had made along the road. They wanted just to be in a house, and my wife did too. They still all love traveling and still will RV travel. They just don't want to live that way anymore. And I kind of get that in a way. Like, the one hard side with RVing, couple of things. One is that it became so popular that almost every RV park in just the last couple of years has become packed. So it's hard to find even reservations at places. Whereas when we first started, it wasn't that way. You could go to a lot of states and just drive in. A couple of times we were the only people in these RV parks. So part of it's just gotten too busy. It's made it more difficult. And the second reason is that for us, in our mind, the ideal situation was to have a home, have like a home base, and then travel the rest of the time. Like, travel a lot, but have a place you can come back to where you can have family over for, Christmas and holidays and celebrations and things like that. We love to entertain, and so we weren't able to do that really with the RV in the same way that we like to. So anyways, if it was up to me, we'd still be RVing, but it's, I don't want my family to hate me. And I didn't see the RV life as benefiting them as much as it was benefiting me. So it was kind of a selfish endeavor in a way. Anyways, I could go on, but for those reasons, we're now in a house, still travel. I mean, we're not right now because of this renovation, but in general, we travel a lot, and we'll continue to do so. All right, going back to the book. By the way, if you're new here, I'm reading through this book that I read not too long ago, and I highlighted the heck out of it, and I'm just reading through some of those highlights and explaining how it impacted me. Yeah. Did you have a question? You are OSM. I don't know what that means, but is that awesome? Did you say I'm awesome? I don't think so. I don't know what that is. Someone's in Wales, by the way. Boy, my phone is getting hot. I'm going to turn the air on. My phone is really getting hot. It's hot in here. I turned the air off for this stream, but I'm turning it back on. I'll just have to yell for a bit, so apologies. Real quick, a follow-up question to the RV thing. Walt said, curious about the finances after leaving RV. Did banks give you any hassle when you decided to move back into a house? Oh, no. What do you mean? Like, why would the RV affect going back into a house? I'm curious. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. No issue. Did the banks give you a hassle? Yeah. No. Whew, it's so stinking hot. Okay. Reading another excerpt from Man Up here. Instead of going all out and being the high-performing human you're meant to be, you hold back because you're being selfish and protecting yourself from what others think. Woo. Hello. Hello there. Hi. I'm such an idiot. I highlighted this because it, of course, was very applicable to me. I'm learning that I care an awful lot about what people think of me, including you, which is probably why, maybe that's part of the reason I do YouTube, because I want people's approval. I don't know. But it's definitely something that has held me back before. if you've read Four Agreements, this concept is covered in there, or idea, or whatever, that we are all born into a world we have no control over. Our parents and the environment we're raised in is kind of dictated by not us. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get what you get. You grow up in the country that you grow up in, and the time period you grow up in, with parents who have values and worldviews that are instilled on you. At some point you come to an age where you can decide whether you agree with those things or not, but they're implanted in you. And so you have this idea of, sort of like I was talking about, who you are, what your limitations are, but also this idea of pleasing people. It was kind of instilled in me. Maybe not instilled in me, but it was a part of me from a young age. I wanted to make people happy. And you realize that people have certain ideas of who you are, what you're going to do based on the kind of kid you were. People just have certain expectations that you're going to be a certain way, depending on your family and the influence they had on you. And that can play a major role in the person you actually become. You know, you might be, like for me, I realized that I wasn't the person I wanted to be, and it wasn't because of my upbringing or anything like that. Well, it was. All of it played a role in it. But for a lot of my life, I was being the person I thought people wanted me to be. I was trying to fulfill the expectations that other people had set for me, rather than trying to figure out what mattered to me. What did I value, regardless of the world I was shown or the value system that was instilled in me. And now most of that's still there. I'm not saying I totally went off in a different way, but those things can definitely prevent you from becoming somebody new, becoming the person that you believe you should be, doing the things you want to do. I'm going to read it one more time because I think it's pretty dang good. Instead of going all out and being the high-performing human you're meant to be, you hold back because you're being selfish and protecting yourself from what others think. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, in the end, if you know that you're going to go a direction that the people in your life, your parents, close friends, relatives, people you're still in contact with who have an idea of who you are and who you should be, it can be, that can hold us back. If we're going to go in a direction that's different than that, but we feel like it's valuable for us or valuable for our family or whatever, it is selfish in that sense to continue being the person that you don't want to be anymore, that you don't think you should be, or not do the thing that you believe will change your life in a meaningful way, and especially change your family's life. If you're just constantly focused on being the person others want you to be. That makes sense. It made sense to me anyways, that's why I said it. What do you want to say? Let me see what people have said here. I struggle with people pleasing. Me too. Indeed, my dear Watson. Joshua Palmer said, I'm a truck driver and it has put a strain on my family and 3 kids, under 7 and a wife. 3 kids under 7, wow, crazy. Oh man, I remember those days. I miss having little kids. Let's see, I have been searching for something I could do to be home and work locally or from home, and I'm constantly stuck. Yeah. I'm lost and would like your advice. Oh, Joshua Palmer, I'm not somebody who can give any good advice. I'm literally, anytime I'm doing any of these videos, I'm just talking about things I've learned from other people, definitely not myself. But I would say, I was in a similar situation to you. I worked at I wasn't a truck driver, but I was working a job that consumed me and all of my time. I came this closest I've ever come to having like an actual breakdown from this job I was working. My kids were around the same age, probably around 7 or so, and I just wasn't there with them. And I realized, I'm not calling you out at all, I'm just talking to myself. If I could go back and talk to myself back then, the things I would say. I think the biggest things I would tell myself then are, for one thing, nobody and nothing is going to change your current circumstances other than you. I used to wait a lot for other people. I used to think if I could just meet the right person, or if somebody could just discover me and my worth, I'd be able to do something else. And the reality is, in most cases, nothing's going to change unless you change it. So if you're not happy with, I'm talking to myself, by the way, not you. But if I was to talk to myself, I would be like, the only person who's, if you're not happy with where you're at, it's your fault. So I guess that's the first thing, is taking ownership of the situation I'm in. Not that it's bad, like I was providing for my family and everything, but if you want something different, you have to work towards it, and it's gonna be really difficult. And that's why most people don't do anything else than the easy thing that they're currently doing, is because it takes a lot of work. So I think that's what I would tell myself, is like, you wanna change, you can change. This is where the excuses come in, because there's a million excuses that would have popped into my head back then. Like, I can't because of this, I can't because of that. It's all excuses, it's all weakness, really, to not go after the difficulty of changing. I would recommend, like in a practical sense, talking to myself back then, I would read these books. I would read this one by Sean Whalen first, probably because it's really short. I like this book, and I always refer to it mainly because it's not full of long stories or anecdotes that make a single point. I'm not a big fan of books that spend 4 or 5 pages telling a story, and at the end it's like, so this is what that means. It's like one sentence. You're like, yeah, I get that. I didn't need to read the whole story. You could have just said that. This book just, no stories. It just is practical advice on how to get to where you want to be, wherever that is for you. I'd start with that book. I'd totally read this book, and I would read Extreme Ownership. I would read all of those books to get me started in the right direction. I also would probably read 4 Hour Work Week, and 4 Agreements. That's a lot of books, but that's where I'd start. I mean, you have to start with yourself, and if you're gonna change who you are, you gotta change what you know. Like, learn, read. That's the first step, and then implement the steps that you learn. That's what I would say. Okay, let me check the time here. I don't have my watch. What time is it? I don't know. Well, I can go for 60 minutes. I'm at 30, so what am I worried about? I don't know. Should I read more? Let me read some of your comments. Let's see if anybody has anything wonderful. Let's see here. Once Blind said, I was a people please really young. People pleaser. But people stink. Yeah. So now I only try to please God, my wife, and my kids. That's pretty good. I think I agree. Al said, to Joshua, how about driving local deliveries? Al also said, what was the title of that book? Which book? Oh, this one. I'm sorry. I forgot it was backwards. This book is called How to Make Shit Happen. And it is, it's really, really good. This book covers a concept called the Core 4. It's very helpful. It's a book that kicks you into gear, is really what it does. It's written as if it was a friend of yours who knows more than you, who's just like, hey, you idiot, it's time for you to do something. And it's kind of a guidebook for that. All right, let's see what Moose Run Coffee said. You could try starting your own business. Yep, that's what I did, and starting a coffee business. That's awesome. Now I'm trying to get it to the point that I can support my family. Let's see. Joel Whitmer said, thoughts on East Orthodox Church. Doesn't sound right. I don't want to. All right. Caught up on comments. You don't have anything else great to say? I'm moving on. Back to the book. By the way, it's this book, Man Up, by Bedros. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Kulian, I don't know. But I bookmarked this entire page, but I did do little, can you see this? I did these little like look here marks. So I'm just gonna read that look here paragraph. This one goes along with what I was talking about earlier. It's kind of you can watch that again if you want. Let me skip. I'm gonna gotta pick and choose because now when you get to that place, middle of the day, you've been working. I did get up early today. I've been working since early this morning. I kind of get to the point this time of day where I recorded some YouTube videos where I just don't feel like talking or thinking anymore. So I'm gonna try to find some pieces in the book that I'm like, oh, I'd love to talk about that. I'm just gonna read through some things, and if one pops out as like, yeah, I'll talk about that, then I'll talk about it. This is just a wonderful life, by the way. Can you hear okay with that dang fan? Okay, from the book. Think about the people in your life. Oh, this one's kind of good. Think about the people in your life. What do they add to your life? What do they subtract? Do they bring positivity, energy, and strength, or do they suck your soul with complaints, excuses, and nonsense? This is one I haven't worked on that much, but it has made me think a lot about the people in my life. Luckily, I only have a few people that are very close to me in my life. None of them live locally is the only thing. So we use Marco Polo mainly. But I have a handful of people that I know they're just super close people. They do bring absolute positivity, and they're good people to have around. But this book made me think of some people in my life. Again, they're not like super close, but they are people who I have noticed I kind of default to my old self when I'm around them. I default to kind of like goofy, not taking anything too serious, just, it's just kind of the way they are. They're the kind of people that if I told them too much about what I'm attempting to do, how I'm attempting to change, they would just kind of mock. It would be like, that's so stupid. It would be like, what, you? Yeah, so this book talks a lot about relationships and the people you have in your life. And that's just something I'm thinking a lot about now. It's interesting. All right, how deliberate are you about the people in your life? That's the same thing. Let's keep going here. Let's find some real gems in here. Boy, let me see. Did anybody comment anything wonderful? Time for a stogie. Boy, you know what? Hold on. Come with me. Let's see what we have. Boy, a pipe sure sounds good right now. I have to be careful how much pipe and tobacco stuff I do on YouTube now because they'll shut it down. But that does sound good. Where is my bag? That's the question. Oh, it's right here. Probably not going to light this up because I'm indoors, but oh my gosh. Have you noticed how good? You don't even need to smoke the pipe. You know? Hey, take it down a notch. Whoa, did I zoom in? Why am I so much closer now? Do I look a lot closer to you? I don't know what I did. What the heck? It's like I'm zoomed in, but you can zoom in. Okay. I learn something new every day. All right. This is, why won't you stand up? Okay. Anyways, this is delicious. There's nothing in it, but it's very tasty. Is it still black? You guys see me now? It's very important that you get to look at me. There's nothing in there, but man, it tastes good. I don't have any tobacco right now, which is sad. I need to go and get some. This is my, probably my favorite pipe, Dr. Grabo, I believe it is. Yep. It's the Royal Duke from Dr. Grabo. It's a great pipe. Still a black screen, really? Let me fix it. How do I fix it? What do I do? There? Any better? I may need to stop the stream and start it again. I don't know. What if I do that? Oh, wow, there's filters here. Who knew? Is this helping at all? Anything I'm doing here? Any better? Can you see me now? Can you hear me now? Wow. No? What the heck? Okay, well, let me try this. How about that? I can see myself. Is that working any better? Still black, we can hear you. What the heck? All right, I think I may have to stop this stream and start another one. Yeah, YouTube probably did see the pipe. They're like, no. Is it still dead? If it's still dead, I'm gonna start another stream. Working? If it's not, I'm just gonna have to end this one and do another one. How we doing? Anything? Can you see me? Still dead. Okay, I'm gonna quit the stream, gang, and do another one. Goodbye.